following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
This is the final night of the 2022 football season for Coach's Night Out. Tommy Bryan, your host. We are live at Town Square Social, as we always are. Thanks to Kyle and Cody for allowing us this upstairs venue to have this show. We're in our fourth year, and we've had a big time with it. We really appreciate them. 145 Public Square, Lebanon, open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. Cedar City Brewing Company is now open at 112 Public Square, just across the way from our location here at Town Square Social. Our sponsors for tonight's show, as always, Advantage Home Solutions, LLC, Rob Painter and Donnie Self, Kenny Salas and the hometown team of Keller Williams Realty, THW Insurance Services, Cumberland University Athletics, and DT McCall and Sons, Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Franklin, and Cookeville. Coach's Night Out airs on 3 different Facebook Live platforms, including the Wilson Post, Main Street Preps, and Blue Devil Broadcasting. You can also find this show on Twitter at my Twitter handle, which is at TBSports85, at TBSports85, or on the Main Street Media TV app. All you got to do, that's a free app you can get. Go to your app store, download Main Street Media TV, and you can get it on that app at any time. Busy week of high school football. It starts on Thursday this week. Middle Tennessee Christian plays at Friendship Christian. Commanders, number 1 in Division 2A. They'll be taking on Middle Tennessee Christian, the number 3 ranked team. The winner of that game is the region champ and gets to host a playoff game or 2. And I think they get a bye if they win that region championship. Friday, October 28th, another big game, Trousdale County at Watertown. The winner of that game goes to the playoffs. The loser, out. Warren County at Lebanon, Mount Juliet at Green Hill. That one's for all the marbles in North Mount Juliet. Winner of that game gets the number 1 seed in Region 5, 5A, and with that, a couple of home playoff games. Wilson Central plays at Hillsboro. The Wildcats are in the playoffs. If they win, they got a chance to move up to 3rd. And Mount Juliet Christian Academy closes out the season on the road at Clarksville Academy. My guest, as always, for segment number 1, Chuck Gentry, head coach of the Blue Devils. Chuck, good to see you, my friend.
Glad to be here, Tom.
A good win. We said this in the press box as we're packing everything up, and Bob Lee, who had been through a bunch of Lebanon Gallatin games in his past, he says, Chuck's probably not going to be happy with the way we played tonight. He says, but if you can get out of this place with a win and you've got everybody still walking around, you've had a pretty good night. And I guess that's a good way to look at it.
It is. We had several things that we wanted to work on and do. And without Anthony Crowell being dressed, we knew we were going to have to be a little different, look at it a little different, and maybe not be as explosive as we are with him on the field. But, I asked our team to do a few things. The penalties, we will wash away right now. Won't talk about them. But I didn't ask them to win pretty. I just said we need to, when you come to Gallatin, it's a hard place to win. It's a rivalry, and we need to, play hard, play smart, do the things that we need to do. And, I guess an ugly win is better than a pretty loss. And, the stats don't matter or any of the stuff, but we found a way to come out with more points than they did and hang on at the end. And, played some good football at times and not as good at other times. But, I think that kind of atmosphere and team helps us prepare us for the playoffs.
Your defensive unit forced 4 turnovers. You knocked the ball loose several other times, but you got 2 fumbles. You picked off 2 passes. Taking advantage of those scores, the interceptions led directly to touchdowns.
That's correct. We have struggled early in the year to cause turnovers, and we have gotten better progressively as the year went on to tackle better and to create turnovers. And David Aluya caused a fumble and had an interception, and then he also Bryce Nizik had an interception, and then I don't remember the other fumble, but those things help stop momentum, change momentum. And like you said, they led to points. Both of those interceptions gave us short fields where we had the momentum and turned those things into points.
Both those defensive backs high-pointed the football, went up and got him, and Aluya put the ball under his arm and got 31 yards on that return. Really nice return.
Really nice return. I wish he'd have kept it up the sideline, and he might have scored. But he, again, David hadn't played a lot of football before this year. Made a spectacular play going and getting the football, and he zigged when he should have zagged. But, changed the field, got the momentum for us, and proud to see him have some success with the hard work and dedication that he's put in.
Milestone night for quarterback 1 for Jalen Abston. He went over 5,000 yards passing in his career. And again, Terry Stafford has kept the stats for 37 years. We don't say Lebanon records because we don't know what happened. Nobody kept records beyond that. But the previous high in that 37 years was Greg Triplett with 3,800 yards. And Jalen's just blown that out of the water. And 5,000, what a milestone.
Yeah, he's thrown a lot of passes and completed a lot of passes with very few interceptions. And, the game has changed a little bit. Back in the day, people were lining up in the wishbone, the power I, 2 tight ends, and running the football. And now with the spread offenses and things, it's more common to throw it around. But Jalen has made a lot of good decisions and good throws throughout the year and through his career. And some of his better throws might have even been drops. Yeah. But he's very proud of that accomplishment and very proud of him on and off the field and the way he leads our team and the way he takes care of the football. Sometimes I might throw it to throw it, but again, I would rather have him being a little more conservative than a little loose with it and just throwing it into places that he shouldn't be.
Had a couple of throws into the end zone that one looked like it may have been a catch that wasn't ruled a catch. Another one was dropped. His numbers could have been a lot better.
Well, he, if you ask those 2 teenagers, both of them said they caught the ball. Just happens the ref said they didn't. But, a lot of opportunities. We had the 3rd play of the game there when we got on offense after we stopped them. We had a post route wide open, didn't connect on that. Had 1 or 2 down their sideline that was one was dropped and the other one was called out of bounds. And then we had a big, long bubble screen called back. And, the yardage could have been much more. But, a good night, ran the ball well. Jalen and Sean Heath both good yardage and good things up front. If we can keep those from committing a few timely penalties that shouldn't happen, maybe we'll be a little better. But all in all, good night and just score one more than they did.
Sean Heath, 105 yards. I think his 5th time over 100 this year. And when it got down to it, when you wanted that one more score, you gave the football to your tailback.
Well, we come out in the 3rd quarter and went 3 and out twice. We went one series we tried to run it, and the next series we got an empty, and then the next time was after that interception, and we got 1 tight end and 3 wide, and did some things, and we kind of found something that we liked, and was able to, speed the tempo up a little bit and hit them on, and Sean kept the zone play side and got in the end zone where they were slanting the other way.
Again, you didn't want to talk about the penalties early, but we had a bunch, and we'll talk about them now. Again, you calm those down, you cut them in half, and you got maybe a whole different football game.
Well, I try not to get on the referees too much, but I did get upset, at one call, and now that we've look back at it, maybe it was the right call, maybe it wasn't. Don't think it affected the play the way they said it did, but those guys are doing the best they can, making judgment calls real fast with no instant replay. No, some of those are going to go your way, some of them ain't. But the things that we have to do is take care of the things that we can control.
Maintain some composure at times.
Some composure. You got to know. You know if you've got a hold of cloth or not. And you know if you've had it too long, or if the guy's pulling away from you, let it go. Some of those things. But again, one thing that I don't want to do is harp on it so much that I take our aggressiveness away.
Good point.
And there's a fine line between that, and we've talked about it. Our coaches have talked about it. Of course, our defensive coaches are coaching while we're on offense. And Coach Fry came to me and said, "How come it's 2nd and 20 every time I look up, or 1st and 15?" And he said, "Are we not running it or whatever?" And I'm like, "We've run it, we've thrown it, we've done everything. Those little yellow things keep appearing. I don't know why, but it's just one of those things. Hopefully, that's something that we can get cleared up, and because as we go along here, those things can really hinder us. And like I said, we had 8 snaps in one series that were all first downs right there, right at the same spot.
Yeah.
Go up, go back, go up, go back. And it was, I told him when we got home, I said, I had to stop and reload. I was out of bullets there for a while. So it just, I had never seen anything like it. And, maybe it's something we can learn from.
You had a new assistant coach on the sideline with you against Gallatin, number 2 with a jacket on, and as Bobby K told me, had on a what was it? One of those Outdoor World caps or something?
Bass Pro Shop.
Bass Pro Shop caps. Anthony Crowell, they're helping you coach. He was held out. Probably going to miss another week. We'll be ready for the playoffs.
He practiced today and was out there running around, making sure that we get him back into shape. Most of his being held out for precautionary, doing what's best for him. I think if you ask him, he'd say he wants to play Friday night, but unless something changes and I get some different word through people that know a lot more than me, the best thing for him is to hold him out and make sure that we've done everything where he's 100%. And I will say this, the little hamstring issue that's been bothering him looked pretty good today.
Good.
So
good.
He looked like he had a little more bounce in his step than possibly he had. And so hopefully this time off has helped him get 100% healthy and make us be better for having to do things without him.
My eyes on the sideline, my wife tells me his demeanor was pretty good on the sideline there for Gallatin.
Well, I went up to him one time and said, "What do you think?" Look, he just laughed at me like you ain't gonna listen to what I say anyway, so why should I say it? But I told him to make sure he was engaged and doing those things. And as a 17-year-old, what you love the most is taken away from you. It's hard to sit there, and put a smile on your face and support your teammates when you want to be out there playing. And it's something we all take for granted every day that we're able to do the things that we're able to do until we can't. And I told him, you just have to be a man about it, mature, and see what happens. And luckily, everything's worked out, and he'll be back sooner rather than later, and hopefully healthy and ready to go.
Senior night coming up against Warren County. Those kids may not realize it now as we sit here and film this on Wednesday, but Friday's coming, and there's not very many Fridays guaranteed.
We had that we finished practice a little early today, and I asked them to make sure that they were listening to what I said. I said, I know y'all hear me a lot, and it's the same old,
Yeah.
same old about hydrate, rest, act right, all that stuff. But I told them that this week starts a season's a blast. Today was their last, yesterday was their last full padded practice of the regular season. Tomorrow will be their last walkthrough, their last Thursday team meal, their last Friday, the last senior night, the last time regular season game, and then nothing is promised. And I told them, I said, you underclassmen have to put your best foot forward to support your senior brothers, and your senior brothers better hold on to each other and lead from the front, because the coulda, shoulda, wouldas will last a lifetime, and the ifs and buts, and so it's a very, and this is the time that I hate most, because it's the funnest time of football when you get to the playoffs and everything's good, but when it's over, the suddenness and the finality of it is you're in a game in the fourth quarter, and the next thing you know, you'll never play football again in your life.
Yeah.
And it's what you've done from a young age, and all of a sudden, boom, there's no more. Me and you can get a couple others and go play a basketball game. We can't get a bunch and go play football, and it's what makes it so special. But it's also very, very hard to prepare for.
Warren County, the opposition, Pioneers are struggling. They're 1-8. They've lost 7 in a row. Still, though, that bunch will fight. They have fought every single game they've played.
Well, one thing about Coach Turner, and with his wrestling background, they are a hard-nosed team, and that you're going to get their best. Now, again, they've struggled. They've had some injuries and some things. And week 10, are they looking forward to something else or not? But if you give them a chance, they will fight you. And so we have to come out and take care of Lebanon, do the things that we have to do. And, it's the next game. It's senior night, all the things that we talk about. Let's take care of us and don't encourage Warren County a bit, because we don't want to. That's something we don't want to do, is fight them in the phone booth.
They got some size up front. They got some big old kids.
They got some very big kids and some talented running back and linebacker, and one of the better offensive defensive linemen, the journeyman kid that we will play all year. And so again, at times they played people really close, and they've lost like 5 or 6 games with a total of like 13 points, and they've been in a lot of games. So that's the thing. You don't want to encourage them, let them hang around. We want to take care of business and do it clean and do the things that we need to do to have a successful night.
As we wrap it up here, thanks to Family Medical Associates at Pediatrics for providing the funding to allow Shop Springs Creamery to be the official chocolate milk of Blue Devil football. I've noticed the Dairy Alliance got you guys another cooler in there.
Yes, sir. We've got another cooler where we don't have to use the coach's refrigerator.
Yeah.
So the kids are not getting in the coach's refrigerator. So we have 2, and it's stocked up, and they put it on there. They put the Blue Devil sign in there, and kids love it. They're in and out all the time, and it's good for them.
Book project, Character Time, that's still going on. Partlow Funeral Chapel, John Greer Jr. State Farm, Sellers Funeral Home, providing the books, are traders through varsity, getting something really down the line.
Yeah, we talk about all the time. Dr. Walters talks about teaching across the curriculum and what are you doing to help others in your. So when we got the book project last year, he was really complimentary of that, and we loved the time with Brother Darren and get to talk about other things other than just football.
Team meal sponsors, it's just varsity now. Thursday, Kenny Salas and the hometown team. Friday, Mayhem Mechanical, Kenny Dillon. Thanks to those guys for providing food for our varsity football team. Thursday and Friday, a couple of good meals planned, as I understand it.
Good meals, and we really appreciate the community for helping us and feeding us all year. And those kids get to go home with something in their belly or get a full stomach before they go play, and they love it. And then senior night's Friday night. we will. I think that started slated for 6:35.
Okay.
Then we'll. There's a tailgate. Coach Berry and the Omega Project will be cooking some stuff outside out there. Come and eat for free or give a donation, whatever you want to do. And he's got some stuff for sale. We're doing a salute to service. Coaches will be wearing a new camo pullover to thank the ones who have served their country, firefighters, military, police, all those who serve. And then also before the game, we'll be honoring the Lebanon Youth Football, because they'll go through the Pride Walk and run through the L in front of our team. So a lot of stuff going on Friday night, and then at 6:59 we'll kick it off and get ready to go.
One thing I know you want to mention, I want to mention as well, a milestone Friday night. Terry Stafford and myself, 400 career games doing Blue Devil football on the radio. This is also Terry's last regular season game, as he's told us that he lives in Florida. You know, he comes up here and stays for football season. He's done that for several years. He said enough's enough. I'm going to go back home when this season is over. But what he has meant, it's been 8 coaches and 6 principals since we started doing these games, and he's kept stats for all those games. And you get a stat report after every game, and then you get the composite later in the week. That's a big help for you.
It's a great help for us to look at it and analyze it and see, self-scout and do some things. Then also, I call you all the time for, hey, I need to know what this is and that is, and we both look back and find it, or I'll call Terry and get it. And it's, to the average fan, you see it on TV all the time. They put up the stats and everything. You say, oh, well, yeah, Tennessee's averaging this much and scoring this much, and then but high school football, it's very important, after the game to sit there and look and say, all right, Jalen Abson has thrown for 5,000 yards and 49 touchdowns, or Anthony Crowell has over 2,000 yards receiving, or we're averaging this many takeaways and this many turnovers and all the stuff. You look at it and I know it's all in my mind, but when it's right there on paper, it's such a good thing. And we appreciate Terry for doing that. And then all the years you and him have been covering Lebanon football, it's special to go back and listen to the 80s, 90s, that stuff where you hear it and you're like, hey, all right. And then, my favorite saying is everybody wants to be a Blue Devil tonight. I don't even know what game that was or what it is, but I tell that to our football team often, that this is one of those nights where everybody wants to be a Blue Devil tonight. And, the tradition, up and down, wins, losses, everything, but that stuff stays with you, and it's what makes high school sports special.
Chuck, thanks for the visit as always. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom.
Chuck Gentry, head coach of the Blue Devils, with us as we close out our first section of the show. Stay tuned. We'll be back with Tim Mathis, head coach at Cumberland University, right after this. session 2 of our final show of the season, Town Square Social. It's Coach's Night Out. Advantage Home Solutions, LLC, Donnie Self and Rob Painter. Our sponsors, Kenny Salas and the hometown team of Keller Williams Realty, THW Insurance Services, Cumberland University Athletics, and DT McCall and Sons, Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Franklin, and Cookville. Tim Mathis, head coach at Cumberland, with me here on the second segment. And Tim, the season is flying by. It's going to be our last one, but you've still got a lot of football to be played, coming off that tough loss to Lindsey Wilson, where, again, defensively, you played about as well as you can play a good part of the football game.
Yeah, for probably right at almost 3 quarters. It was a puncher's battle. We were taking punches and throwing punches, and they just, at the end of the day, and that's why they are where they're at. They just out-executed us as far as putting some balls in the end zone. We've had some bad mishaps on special teams. We had a bad snap that gave them a touchdown that, we should have went into the half tied 3-3. We had a bad snap, and it's just, we're so close. We got out-executed by, that's why they are where they're at, and they just executed better than we did.
When you go back and you look at the film, there's got to be some teaching moments in there for your young football team.
I mean, there definitely was. We again moved the ball decently. It's just and I even said on our after game show thing, I really felt as coaches we might not have put our kids in the best spot when we got in the red zone about calling some plays that we knew could be successful. We probably might have panicked a little bit we got to have it this play or whatever, and just stay within what we can do, and but we did some great things. We ran the ball. I think they were averaging -6 yards a game offensively, and we ran the ball.
Yeah,
we ran the ball on them pretty good. It's just get down near the red zone stuff, or shooting ourselves in the foot with a penalty or something. But I was proud of our guys, and our defense did. They played superb. They ended up wearing us out by just putting 7 offensive linemen in the game and running the ball on us, and that was just hard to stop. If they'd have done that all game, I think going forward to this week, if they do that to Bethel, they'll probably beat Bethel.
Well, and sometimes you learn during the course of a football game what really works for you. And that game is going to be in Columbia, Kentucky this week, right?
I believe so, yeah.
So that's a big one in the Mid-South Conference.
It is.
Bethel at Lindsey Wilson, 2 ranked teams, 2 teams really going to get after it. When you spoke a little bit about, some penalties, shot yourself in the foot, and I talked with Chuck about that in the earlier segment. He said, you address it, you don't want to dwell on it so much and maybe take some of their aggressiveness away, but the pre-snap and the post-snap
those are
the ones that kill you.
Those are the ones that kill you. And we hadn't really had a lot of those until this game. This game was chippy, and they had a bunch of them, and we did on a couple of our drives that we were really driving it on them. After the play ended, losing your composure a little bit, and it ends up, you're driving on them, and then all of a sudden you're back 15 yards, and it's just, it's hard. Football, it's a violent game. It's a lot of emotions go into it, but you've got to be able to play with a control. I tell them all the time, play with a controlled rage, and you do got to play like that. And those are the ones that kill you, that you do harp on. But a lot of even holding penalties, you can call holding every play, every down, and it's not for a lack of effort. Sometimes those things happen. Even late hits sometimes happen. You just can't stop yourself. You never want to yell at a defensive guy, don't go after him or whatever. So it is a tight line that you walk with, but you do want to preach pre-snap, post-snap, because those are the ones that really, really kill.
You go to Faulkner this week, Montgomery, Alabama. Longest trip. What does it look like for Cumberland's football team travel-wise? That's a Friday departure, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and it's crazy enough. It's about, I thought it was a little further too, but it's basically about the same distance as Thomas More was a couple of weeks ago. So we'll leave around lunchtime, get down there Friday evening, eat dinner down there, have our meetings and everything, our walkthrough Saturday morning there at the hotel, and just it's just good to have your kids in a central place. The hotel we're in, we'll eat there and everything. So it's just when we get there, we're there. So it makes it a good controlled environment.
Will you tape and dress there at the hotel? Or?
No, we'll dress and everything when we get to Faulkner Stadium.
It's over at the gym or something they have you in?
Yeah, it's and I've never been to. They have an on-campus stadium now, and since I've been here, we've never played Faulkner. When I was at Shorter, we played at the Crampton Bowl there in downtown Montgomery. So I've never played at their new stadium. Coach Stallings from Alabama donated paid for their field, named it after his son. I can't remember his son's name.
Well, there's a statue of them together.
There's a statue of them together right outside the stadium. But from what it looks like in pictures now, it's a nice little thing. And it's on our hotel, I think it's 10 minutes away from, so it'll be an awesome little trip. We don't have a long bus ride or anything to get there as well.
Faulkner has had some ups and downs this year.
It's kind of a lot like us. I know they had a tough one last week because I don't know who or what, but they had lost a game sometime in the summer or whatever. So
somebody had dropped them.
They end up playing Innocuous Word out of San Antonio, Texas, and they're a top 10 FCS team,
which is the Austin Peay Tennessee Tech level FCS.
And I think
what we used to call Division 2A.
Yeah.
1A, yeah.
Now they got beat, I think 70.
Yeah.
And that's tough. I don't know if there's enough money to be paid to take that, and so I'm sure they're a little fragile emotionally after coming off that, because you can play hard, and they're just more scholarships, better talent, and all that. So that'd be tough to do, especially at the end of the season, near the end of the season. So, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes for it. But they're defensively, on paper, they're a 4-2-5. They run a lot of even front, but they're getting a lot of bare fronts too on defense. And they'll put as many people in the box as they can and play man. It seems a lot. Offensively, if they had what they really wanted to do, I believe they'd throw it 100 times a game. They will run it, but they're kind of an air raidish team that they really, really want to throw the ball, but they will run it. But they just want to heave the ball down the field.
Are they up tempo in that passing game, Tim? Will they huddle? Will they do things at the line of scrimmage?
They do it at the line of scrimmage, but it doesn't look like they're really, really go with it. But they don't huddle a whole lot. But it's just they'll have a series where they just run the ball, and then they'll have a series where it's empty every play and nobody in the backfield. So they kind of throw a bunch of stuff at you.
So you will be able to sub most of the time. They're not in such a big hurry that keeps you from subbing in some folks.
Right. And they change personnel so much, which helps you sub nowadays. The way the rule is where the official will step in. So that kind of helps a bunch. But yeah, it's not one of those teams it's not like Tennessee where they're just going to try to tempo you to death and not let you sub.
Again, it sounds like it boils down to how Cumberland plays.
It's been that way. We haven't been in a game yet this season where it's like we just got beat by a heck of a lot better football team. We've been in every game, and if we'll take care of Cumberland, we have a good shot.
Recruit, I know you had a bunch of recruits there at the game. It was a night game, Saturday night at Oaks Lassiter. What are you looking for? Is it a wide range? You cast a big net. You want to get kids at every position? Or are you looking to maybe load up in a couple of spots recruiting wise? What's the theory here as we're just a little bit beyond, the midpoint, going toward the tail end of the season?
There's always several positions, not several, just a key. You're always looking for O lineman and D lineman. I don't think there'll ever be a year where we don't try to get some of those guys in, because part of that too is you never know the turnover. You're always going to have some kids leave that you might not have thought were going to leave or whatever, but you want to get one or two. Hopefully with these last two classes we have, there's not a lot of turnover. You want to get it to where you're signing about 30 kids a year would be a great number to just kind of rotate that, keep that going. But O-line, D-line, we're always going to be looking for guys like that. But it's, we really try to take a well-rounded approach to it. It's not, talent is a lot of what you want to see in it, but we want great character kids. That's one of the biggest things. I want guys that want to come, first of all, to graduate college. That's a big deal for me. It's.
I know your first time you made an appearance in Wilson County was at that all-county breakfast we had, and that was something you hit on pretty hard. If you don't want to come here to be a college student, you don't need to come to Cumberland.
Right. It's just, I don't, at our level, and I do, if I'm playing you in checkers, I want to kick your tail. I want to win. That's not a point about that, but you want kids that want to come to better themselves and because you want, that college degree is going to change the next 50 or 60 years of your life, and that's got to be the main thing. It doesn't have to be the only thing. It has to be the main thing. Football can't be the only thing, because I've been doing this a long time in college, and if it's just about football, I've never seen anybody make it. That's just a fact of me being old and gray hair, and gray beard and everything. I've never seen somebody stay and just want to play football. It just, at some point, that's not going to be enough. But we want guys that want to graduate. I just want them to leave Cumberland better people, better sons, and hopefully better husband and father someday. That just means a lot.
Tim, thanks for the visit. Best of luck as you make that trip to Montgomery and you play Faulkner. 1:30 kickoff Central Time. Best of luck to you guys.
Thank you.
Go
Phoenix.
Tim Mathis, head coach at Cumberland University, with us here on the second segment. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more right after these words. segment of tonight's show, third and final segment of the season, as we wrap it up tonight, week 11 of the high school football season. Let me go over the schedule again. Big one Thursday night, Middle Tennessee Christian at Friendship. That one is for the region championship. That's the East region of Division 2A. The winner of that game is the number 1 seed. They also get, I think they get an open date. They get a bye in the playoffs, and then they get a couple of games at home. So that one's big. Middle Tennessee at Friendship. Middle Tennessee Christian ranked number 3. Friendship ranked number 1. Friday, October 28th, Trousdale County at Watertown. Very simple in this one. Winner gets to play in the playoffs. Loser is out. Warren County at Lebanon. Mount Juliet at Green Hill. Not much riding on that one other than the region championship. Home games, bragging rights in Mount Juliet. Wilson Central at Hillsboro. Mount Juliet Christian at Clarksville Academy. And mentioned in Wilson Central, if they win and some other things happen, they could finish third in their region. So there's still a lot on the line. Speaking of a lot on the line, Josh Crouch, head coach at Green Hill, with me this week. And what an atmosphere is going to be coming up on Friday night. Before we talk about anything else, it's going to be a nut house there at Green Hill High School.
We hope so. If it's anything like last year's environment, it'll be that was the best environment I've ever coached in or ever played in. Was there, other than hosting, I guess, the Mid-South Conference at Cumberland in 2009. But that was electric. It was fun, and looking forward to the same kind of atmosphere on Friday.
Well, and playmakers on both sides of the football.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a matter of Green Hill wanting to do what you do best. Mount Juliet going to try to do what they do best, and just battle it out, see what happens.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with Six Cisse. Just watching him on film. We had seen him a lot with some other films that we got throughout the year, breaking down somebody and watching their offense against somebody else. But been very impressed with 6 and 7, and even the sophomore quarterback Travis Kids come in and took over for Griffin has been really superb. So they've got a lot of players, very explosive on offense, and we've got to work it out for us.
Well, and if my memory serves right, they got 3 guys who run the football, and they're all 3 a little bit different, and all have got the ability to really get it up in there and get gone.
Yeah, and one of them's a sophomore, 24, is Crudup's a really good player. You got Irby, who's number 5. He rotates in, plays a little bit of running back, and then 7 is one of the better backs I've seen on film this year. Very similar to like what Derrick Henry is. Once he gets running full speed, he's hard to bring down. So we're going to try to make him shuffle his feet a little bit and try to prevent him from running downhill. But all 3 of those backs are, they're starters at any program. Anywhere you put them in, they could probably play pretty consistently, and have been very impressive on game film.
How do you think they will try to defend what you do offensively?
It's a good question. I went back and watched a little bit of last year. And there's a different game plan last year than some of it. I think, we get more out of the Lebanon film because of Crowell, what he did and how Coach Gentry uses him and moves him around. I think 6 will shadow 17 or Carver a lot. It'll be interesting to see if he plays man on him like he did last year. At the end of the game, it gets a little tiresome to run around with a guy in motion back and forth and in different spots and playing offense and defense like they did last year. They may play us too high like they did against Lebanon. We're not as big as what Lebanon is up front, so maybe they think they can play with a 5-man box. But it'll be interesting. We'll have to see when we come out on Friday and kind of we have to coach on the fly, see what they give us.
Well, we do this show on Wednesday. You've had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday practice.
Practice for 2 days. The rain pushed us inside yesterday in the indoor, but we still got a lot of work accomplished in that indoor part. And I feel like our kids are focused. We've got a really big senior class that's leading that. So I think they know what's online. Hosting the playoffs for us to be a third-year program and competing for 2 years back-to-back region championships. I think that's something they want on their resume per se when they leave the high school, kind of the footprint they've left.
Speaking of senior night, that's going to be pregame. You got a big bunch of seniors. They've been through the battles with you.
Yeah, and they started in the parking lot. They started on Zoom calls. We met with them way back when they were just sophomores, and it took 3 years for the last school to get a win. The last school that opened in Wilson County to get a win. And this program, or this group of sophomores, have rolled in 3 years. So been super, we don't ever replace kids. I don't think. You always try to build kids that are under them, but this class is going to leave a massive footprint. When you just look at building, you got to, Carver has put 3,300 total yards of offense in 3 years. Cade Mahoney's thrown for over 2,500 yards of passing. Those are some numbers that may never be broke. And that's in a very young high school. That's something that, is to be said for what that class has done.
Well, and these kids, when they came, when this school was coming out of the ground, and you were practicing in parking lots and that sort of thing, they came to Green Hill because they wanted to come to Green Hill. I don't think anybody had a gun held to them and said, this is where you got to go.
Yeah, and it was an opportunity to stay where they were. They had an opportunity to go where their district line was. They had an opportunity for out of region or out of the zone to come. And we really just, what we as a staff were very intentional about is whoever shows up is who we're going to love on and coach. And we never got into any of the extra stuff that went into the whole split between the schools. We just always kept focus of whoever shows up is who we're going to divide our time into and pour into. And I think it's paid off for that group of kids. We're doing some senior shout outs before we left and have some videos just to reflect on their 4 years or their 3 years. And just to see them grow from sophomore year to senior year has been pretty special.
There's a real sense of community on that side of Mount Juliet toward that school. And the school can bring that out in a neighborhood, in a community, and that's what you guys have been building on.
Yeah, and I think it goes. And this year we got the opportunity to start our first youth team, which our youth team is 6U. So 5-year-olds all the way through 12-year-olds are playing as Green Hill Hawks on Saturdays. Our parents run the concession stands on Saturday, so they see the young Hawks. And then our high school players are being at Mount Juliet Middle games. Someone went to West Wilson. It's very – the 3 people I called when we opened, Rick Rice, Dwayne Alexander, and Will Hester, they all told me the first thing that we try to do is it is a very historically proud program and a very, very successful football program in the history of Mount Juliet. And we had to go in there and kind of create something new. We didn't want to be somebody else. We just wanted to give an opportunity for those who chose to come. And I think what we have built up is kind of just our kids and our parents doing the word of mouth for us. So we always want to be inclusive. We always want to be, intentional with some of the relationship pieces. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that in the third year.
Special teams, I think, is going to be big in your football game. Mount Juliet dwells on it. You dwell on it. Crickmar, a returning all-state kicker, Hunter. You got one of the best return guys around, Caleb Carver. Really, the game could flip on a kick.
Yeah, and what Coach Perry has done historically at his program, he's always really had a really good special teams, always has that third phase of the ball really coached up well. And remember, even some of the games that we had with Central with them during that time, it was one score, field goal here, extra point, or a 2-point conversion here that was scored in order to win those games. So we've got to be on our P's and Q's on the third phase of the game as well. And, I look forward to it. Shenuta's a great punter. They got a kicker that puts the ball through the end zone every time, and he's pretty much automatic in extra points and field goals. So it's going to be tough for them to try not to hold them to score as much with how explosive they are on offense and even how opportunistic they are on defense. But with our guys, special teams wise, Sam and even Talon has done a good job taking over for Tyson King at long snapping as a sophomore, and has stepped right into that role and done a great job. taking over that. So
If you don't have a snapper, you don't have a kicking game.
and it's something that not a lot of people, they miss out on that, but it starts with that snap, and that's a 13-yard snap, 13 to 15-yard snap, and that's not something somebody walks out and does. It's a craft, and you really got to be talented to do that. And he's done a phenomenal job taking over that role.
Switching gears just for a second, you knocked off Station Camp last week on the road. For this game Friday to have meant what it means, you had to take care of business against Station Camp, and Station Camp has kind of been a little squirrely all year long. They'll play great. They'll score a lot of points. They'll get beat. You go over there and you win 28-14, I believe was the score.
Yeah.
You took care of business in a game you really had to have.
Yes, I mean I think they're 6 and
Yeah.
I mean, and they're going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
When you look at the Dow kid who's nationally ranked, you look at Mount Juliet as the top dog in our region. You look at even Hillsboro historically has been really, really good. And that honestly, to me, that was one of the early games, that 17-7, that I was really thankful to get out of there with a win, because I knew how athletic, how good they were early on in the year. What Coach Abner's doing there, going over from Mount Juliet so that I knew they were going to be, a tough out. And then you look at Wilson Central has caught fire, but everyone in our region every week, even Station Camp last week, we knew that the quarterback had the opportunity to score at any time. They got a Division I linebacker. They're physical. They take the mantra on, Coach Alexander. That was a good win for us. That was the first time I think in our program where it was, it wasn't house money. It was a do or die kind of situation. And
Because you lose that one, this game doesn't mean
well, if we lose that one, we have to win this one to get in.
just to get in.
To get to the 3rd or the 4th seeds. So, we didn't tell our kids that, right? Like we're telling them, hey, go play loose, have fun.
Yeah.
But I knew the scenario at the time was if we were to lose that game, we had to beat Mount Juliet to get into the playoffs, and how much rivalry goes into that. There's a lot of things that do, but it was definitely a stress reliever knowing that now we're playing house money, because this is a region championship. We're here 2 years in a row. We put ourselves in the position, and really, we're trying to claw back to get to that top spot.
Earlier in the season, you talked to our guy, Ivan Aronin, and you told Ivan, you watch, Wilson Central is going to be a playoff team. You were dead on.
Yeah.
They managed to win the games they had to win to put themselves in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I've worked with Coach Dedman for 6 years. I know how much time he puts in. We happened to catch him right when they had a starting quarterback go down the week before at Lebanon. That team doesn't have a lot of flaws. They're I will always say Wilson Central teams have a knack for winning football games and being a physical bunch that will play you for 4 quarters. And I knew after that game, it was just going to take Mayfield a little bit to settle into that role, and I knew they would be in contention to win that. I had no doubt. I know what Brad does. I know how good of a coach Brad is. I know how good Eric and White are, and I had no doubt at that time. I knew that game was a big game for us, not only a region game and county game, but I knew that was a big step to where we wanted to be as our goal to be in the playoffs.
With everything that's going on campus Friday, when should they try to get there?
Man, if I had a couple people ask me this, and I don't push it. We have a lot of people that support our program. I would recommend going to the Paper Mill or Courtney's, or going somewhere early around 4 o'clock.
There's
and
a
getting a meal.
Panteros right there.
Panteros right across the street. There's a lot of good local restaurants and a lot of good businesses that support our program and supports the community in whole Wilson County. I would go eat at 4:30. I would get at the stadium around 5:30. See the seniors at 6. We're opening the gates at 5:30, so everybody's welcome in then. And we've got hot chocolate. We've got everything set up. We'll have some blankets and things for merchandise. But I would go eat local, enjoy and take in the community of Mount Juliet and Green Hill. Go support your team, whichever one it is, whether it's black and gold or it's green and green. Just go and sit down and take in the environment of a Friday night, and that's going to start. I think going and giving business to our local families, and then going out and watching a good high school football game.
With My TV 30 coming as well. Tempo of the game changes a little because they got those TV timeouts coming.
Yep.
Again, the entire Middle Tennessee region is going to be able to watch that game. I'm going to DVR it.
Yeah.
Be sure I can go back and take a look at it. It's what a game to end the regular season on.
Yeah, and I can't be more thankful. I told our staff this week when we were breaking, like, there is not a lot of people that can say in the environment that which we hope that it's going to be and the type of game that we're going to play. There's not a lot of people that get that, I don't think, anymore in high school football. I think there's a lot of community in this game. I think there's a lot of relationships in this game, which makes it intimate. But I would, I tell our guys to live in the moment. I'm not trying to tell them, hey, it's not a big game. It is a big game. And the kids are not, you can't, the kids know.
Yeah, they're not dumb.
They're not dumb. And we didn't sugarcoat it or hide it from them. It's a big game. But the great news is that people are now going to be able to have an extra eye on them. They're going to be able to see them from all over the state. I'm thankful my mom and dad get a chance to watch this because they're going to be in Smyrna. And I know my dad's going to be in Green and my mom's going to be in Green sitting at the house watching it. And, that's the things to me that I know that's touching because people are going to have the opportunity that may not have been able to see in Green Hill. They're going to have a chance to see and get a little perspective into our program.
Josh, thanks for the visit as always.
Yeah, thanks
we
for having
appreciate it. Hey, have fun.
Yeah, that's all.
I know you guys will.
Yeah, we will.
Have a big time. Josh Crouch, head coach at Green Hill, with us as we close out the Week 11 finale of Coach's Night Out live from Town Square Social. Thanks so much for visiting with us. You can go back and watch this on any of those platforms. For Justin Kulik, the folks at Town Square Social, I'm Tommy Bryan. I will talk to you later.